Hi everyone, my name is Sangram Kakade from Aryan College of Arts, Commerce and Science. In today's lecture, we will continue with the rest of the topic, which has been remained from chapter 1, that is Introduction to Language. So we'll see the recap first, what we have learned in the first video lecture. First, we have seen a brief history of C programming language. Second, we have seen few features of C programming language like C is an simple programming language. It is platform independent, that is, it is having mid-level language, structured programming language. We have seen the memory allocation, dynamic and static. Then we have seen it has an extensibility mechanism and so on. So next, we have seen the basic structure of the C program, and later we have seen the compilation process in C. The phases to which your program goes until it gets finally executed. So this was the things that we have seen in previous video lecture. Now we'll see a very small program of C language and we'll try to execute that program. Now we are running Windows. You must be having Turbo C, a Turbo C++ version. You need to open that Turbo C++ version, need to be installed. If you haven't installed it, now I have already typed a small program, and let's see if it is following the structure of the basic C language. For the time being, here we have included two header files, that standard io.h and console io.h, that is standard input output header file and console input output header file. This is a preprocessor's directive, which is compulsory if you are going to use any functionality of it. Then comes the main function. You have returned the main function name, opening closing bracket, and within the curly brackets we have defined the body of the function. Now here we have used clear speed function, which has been mentioned in conio.h. So conio.h is an console input output function. So every time you produce an output, it clears out the console and it put out the output on a fresh console. Now I have used the printf function, and in printf function I am printing string literal, which is, it says welcome to Arihan. And printf function is defined in standard io.h header file. So these two header files are pretty much important. At last I have used getChar, that is get ch function. Now what it basically does, it waits for the input of the character. Now once the output is printed by using the printf line, it will wait, or it will keep the output on the console until and unless I press any button. So let's compile this program. Here on Turbo C++, you are having multiple tabs. There is file tab, there is int tab, search, run, compile, debug, project, option, window, help, etc. But for compilation, we are going to use file tab. So here you can see there is a compile link, and it is having also a shortcut, that is Alt F. So first basically see the compilation process. Once you click on the compilation, the program, if it doesn't have any error, will create an output or executable directly, and then you will be able to execute that file. Now let's compile the file. It will show one warning, and warning is function should return a value. Okay, I haven't mentioned the return type for the main function, and it is merely a warning which can be ignored. So let's run the program. To run the program, again we can use the shortcut control F9, but I am going to directly unlink, has been provided inside the tab. So once I run the program, it will execute the program and it will print the output welcome Arihan. So this is an pretty basic example for the C program. Let's move towards our content. So these were things which we have seen previously, and we'll move towards the next point, that is Language fundamentals, in which we are going to see first character set, which has been included in C programming language, and the tokens which are available in this programming language. Like every other language, C also has its own character set. That means you can create syntax, you can create statement by using these character set. Combination of character set makes and statement execute statement, which you can use in your program. A program is a set of instructions that, when executed, generates an output. So you are going to put out a set of instructions into your program, and when it executes, it will generate an output. The data is processed by the program consists of various characters and symbols. Now, what these instructions are made up of? These instructions are made up of statement. Ultimately, statements are made up of the character set. That's what they have said here. The program consists of various characters and symbols. The output generated is also a combination of characters and symbols. Now, the output which is generated by the program is again a combination of characters and symbols, which are generally used in the C programming language. Now, it has been divided into major four categories. The character set in C is divided into: first is letter, second is number, third is white spaces, and last but not the least is special characters. So let's see what's there in the letter. As we know, there are 26 letters in an English language. So it includes both the uppercase characters from capital A to capital Z, and lowercase character from small a to small z. It includes the number or the combination of the digit from 0 to 9. So all the digits from 0 to 9 is you can use it in your programming. White spaces, you can use the blank spaces, that is white space or the space you can call it. You can use the new line, you can use the carriage return, and you can use the tab as well, horizontal as well as vertical tab. Then there comes the special character. There are a lot of special characters who have used it in the separate slide. Let's see the special characters. First one is comma. You can use comma, and it is one of the character set, one of the character which is available in the code. Then there is a period, that is dot operator. Some says dot operator, some say it's a period, common thing. Few languages it is called as a dot operator, in few languages it is called as a period. Second is a semicolon. Semicolon is used to terminate each sentence or each statement you have written. Then there is a colon, then question mark, apostrophe, double quotation mark, exclamation mark, vertical bar, forward slash, backward slash, tilde, underscore, dollar sign, percentage sign, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket, opening square bracket, or it is also said as left bracket, closing square bracket or right bracket, opening parenthesis, which is mostly used in the functions, closing parenthesis, it is also called as a closing bracket, ampersand, dot, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, greater than, or closing angle bracket, less than, or it is also called as an opening angle bracket, and hash. These are the characters that you can use in C programming language. Now let's move towards the token. Token is the smallest unit in C program. In each and every word, a punctuation or and the punctuation that you come across in a C program are nothing but. So the statement basically uses characteristic to form a word. Within statement there are words, and words are formed by using certain character set. So you can understand the hierarchy in this. Compiler breaks a program into its smallest possible unit, which is again called as a token, and proceed through the various stages of the compilation. So whenever compilation starts, the program is broken down into one smallest unit, that is called again a token, and proceed to various stages of the compilation. Know the stages. Goes to the preprocessor, goes to the assembler, it goes to the compiler, right? It goes to the linker and then loader and then program. A token is divided in different six parts. Six parts tokens are there. They are keywords, operators, string, constants, special characters, and identifiers. So I have list out the sequence. You can say keyword, identifiers in C, strings in C, operators in C, constants in C, and there are some special characters as well which can be treated as token. Now let's see these tokens one by one, starting with the keyword in C. So keywords are nothing but are the words which are reserved for specific purpose. Now there are total 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 8. Equals are 32. There are 32 keywords which are reserved for the specific purpose language. Now, as these are specifically reserved for specific purpose, it cannot be used as an identifier or it cannot be used for any other purpose than the specified purpose. So these are the keywords. First one is auto, break, case, char, const, continue, default, to, double, else, enum, extern, short, for, go to, if, int, long, register, return, float, sign, sizer, static, struct, switch, typedef, union, unsigned, void, volatile, while. So these are the 32 keywords which we are going to see in coming upcoming lectures. So eventually, while you are learning C language, you will come across any one of these keywords. And in fact, in today's lecture, we might see few of these. So those are the keywords. Now let's move towards the identifiers in C. Now identifiers in C are used for naming variable for. So basically, identifiers are used for naming purpose. So if you want to give a name to the variable or user defined function or structure or array, you can use the identifiers. Now, you might have, assumed or you might have considered that identifiers are used for naming the user-defined, things, user-defined constant you are going to introduce in your coding. Identifiers in the C are the user-defined words. It can be composed of uppercase letter, lowercase letter, underscore, or digit, but the starting letter should be either an underscore or an alphabet. So it can be composed of these four things, which is very, very important and very, very crucial. You should remember this and you should consider this whenever you are creating an identifier. First thing is, it can consider uppercase letter, it can consider lowercase letter, it can consider or include underscore or digit. But starting should be either with the underscore or with the alphabet. Even though it includes the digit, the identifier should not begin with the digit. Keep that in mind. Identifiers cannot be used as a keyword, or you can see vice versa. Now, the keywords which we have, learned previously or which we have seen in the previous slide cannot be used as an identifier because keywords are having their specific purpose in the language. Now, we'll see the rules for constructing identifiers in C programming language. First is the first character of the identifier should be either an alphabet or an underscore that we have seen earlier, and then it can be followed by any of the character, digit, or the underscore. So please keep this in mind. It should be always starting with the alphabet or the underscore and not the digit, and it can be followed by the character digit or an underscore. It should not begin with any numerical digit. Number नहीं होना चाहिए. That's what I have said in the first line. In identifier, both uppercase and lowercase letters are distinct. So you should keep that in mind that if I declared a variable say A capital A and if I declare the variable name small a, these two variables are distinct and can be used separately. Therefore, we can say that identifiers are case sensitive. So this is the third thing about the identifier, that the identifier must be or is case sensitive. Commas or blank space cannot be specified within an identifier. Not only blank space and the comma, uh, uh, any special symbol are also not allowed in the identifier. So please do not mention it while declaring the identifier. Keywords cannot be represented as an identifier. जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि keywords को हम लोग as an identifier नहीं use कर सकते because keywords are having their purpose. The length of the identifier should not be more than 31 characters. So it should not exceed beyond the 31 characters. So basically, there are no identifier, as per my knowledge, that has been crossed this limit. So basically, we use the identifier which is more meaningful. Like if I am using the variable which is related to the student, like roll number, name, address, mobile number, etc., etc. Those are identifiers which are meaningful and they won't generally cross 31 characters. Identifier should be returned in such a way that it is meaningful, short, and easy to read. It is an instructive and optional thing, but I insist on having these qualities in your identifier. It should be meaningful first, and it should be short and easy to read. Grasp it, read it slowly, and remember it. Now, we'll see the few examples. Check if you have a knowledge of an identifier. Check for its validity, and I'll give you a moment so that you can guess whether it is valid identifier or not. So let's begin with an identifiers. There are 9 identifiers which I have chosen, and you have to identify whether it is valid or not. I have deliberately mentioned here as a token because tokens tokens एक ही कैटेगरी में आइडेंटिफायर्स आते हैं. So tokens are nothing but an identifier. You can your keyword vice versa. So basically, to be more precise, we will continue it as an identifier. So first is total. A total is an identifier, okay, and it starts with the capital letter T, and it is followed by other characters like O, T, L. So by the rules, if you consider it is an valid identifier. Next is to sum. To is an digit and SUM are the characters which has been followed after. So as the second rule here, it should not begin with an any numerical digit. So this identifier is invalid. An identifier is invalid. Third identifier is sum, as capital SUM. So there is nothing wrong with this identifier, and this identifier is valid. Now here int, int, they have mentioned int as an identifier and they have asked whether it is valid or invalid. So here int is, even though it specify or implies most of the rules that have mentioned, but it uh, violate or it break this rule that int is a keyword. I have seen int over here in this slide, and int is a keyword, and it clearly have mentioned that keyword cannot be used as an identifier because they are having their own specific purpose. So int is invalid. So this average is simple character string, so it is valid again. Sixth is underscore m underscore, so it also follows most of the rules and it is valid. Even though it is valid, I would suggest not to use such kind of variable because it doesn't have any meaning, or you cannot get what the variable is declared for. So even though it is valid, I suggest or insist not to use such kind of variable. Next, seventh variable or seventh identifier is sum_1. So also, let's check. First character of the identifier should be either an alphabet, is true with this case, and then it can be followed by any of the character digits or underscore, which is true again because it is followed by the character digit and underscore. It should not begin with the numerical digit. No, it don't begin with the numerical digit, and it is not an reserve keyword, so it is valid. Okay. Now next is char, char. Now char passes most of the recommendations or the rules, but as it is an keyword, it is invalid. Next is m plus n. Only underscore is valid whenever you are using the identifier or the identifier. Only underscore symbol is valid, so it is invalid because they have used plus sign in between characters. It's invalid. Basically, it is an operation or the expression you can say, which is having two operands and operator in between. It is invalid. So that is regarding the identifiers. Let's move towards the variable and the data types. So what are variables? Variables are the name given, to the value. Basically, you declare the variable and then assign the value, and you use the variable in the operations. Now, a variable is an identifier which is used to store some value. This is the definition of variable, you can say. Variable is an identifier again, and it should, while declaring variable, should follow the rules of an identifier. And these variables are able to store some value in it. If the variable is constant, it can never change at the time of execution. If you declare a variable and if you declare specifically the constant variable, the value which have been assigned to that constant will never change during the time of execution. And if you try to change it, it will be an error. Now, the last statement regarding the variable, variables can change during the execution of a program and update the value stored inside it if you don't declare the variable as a constant. So there are different variable. One can be constant or one can be a normal variable. But if it is constant, you should not change it, and it will not allow you to change the variable or the value with that variable. But if you have a simple variable, can change during the execution of the program, and it can update the value of this code. Now, a single variable can be used at multiple locations in the program. Variable name must be meaningful. It should represent the purpose of the variable. Like uh, they have given the example, height, age are meaningful variable that represent the purpose that it is being used for. Height will be used for storing the height of the student. Age will be used for storing of the student, and so on. Height variable can be used to store height variable. That's what they have said. Okay. Now again, the rule of defining the variable, it follows the same rules which I have seen in the identifier. A variable must be declared first uh, before it is used somewhere inside the program. So that is the exceptional case that other than identifier rule. The variable name must be declared first, and then you can use that variable during your program. A variable name is formed using character, digit, and underscore that we have seen in the identifier case. A single variable can be used at multiple locations in the program. Once declared, you can use that variable anywhere you want, but it should be in the scope of that program. And if you want to, access the variable throughout the program, you should specifically declare those variables in the global declaration. to declare it in the main, its accessibility remains in the main function only. We cannot access that variable outside that main function. So those things are things that in mind. A variable name must be meaningful. It should represent the purpose of the variable. So that's it. Then the variable rules. A variable name should consist of only character, digit, and underscore. A variable name should not begin with a number. A variable name should not consist of white space. A variable name should not consist of word. C is case sensitive language. That means variable name age and capital words, letters age are different. So these are the rules of the variable. First basic rule, which haven't been mentioned in the identifier, is variable should be cleared first, that the name of the variable is cleared first before we bring it in your program. To be cleared first. Second thing, you can use anywhere in the program. Once declared, you can use it in many locations. Now we'll see how to declare a variable in your program. So in first thing, we have declared an integer variable named y variable, and later we have assigned it the value. So this is the case. Int my variable. Int is the type of the variable. You will see the data type in this video lecture itself. But int is an integer data type. I have declared the my variable of that data type. So while I'm declaring, once I declare the data type, it should assign the same data type. So my variable is equal to 48. So I have used the assignment operator over here. This is my variable name, and I am assigning 48 value to this variable. So 48 is an integer value, will work fine. Second thing, keep here to both declaration and initialization, and assign the initial value. Initialization here both in a same line. So declaration and initialization can be done in a statement. Int my variable is equal to, can use any of the way. This is that variable. Can declare any type of variable mentioning or specifying the data type. But make sure once you mention the data type, only those kind of value or those type of value should be assigned to the. Now moving towards data types that are provided in language. A data type specifies the type of data that a variable can store, such as integer, float, character, etc. So it is a variable, and you define the type of data can be stored in the variable. In previous example, we have mentioned it int. So this variable is liable to store only int values. If you assign the float, it might keep the numbers or the digit after the period or dot. So here the data type is classified into four basic types. First is basic data type in C, derived data types in C, enumeration or enumerated types we can see, and void data type. So we'll see these data types one by one. Basic data type comes in four types: integer, character, and float and double. So basic data types cover things. The data type can be of integer, the data type can be of the character, it can be of float, it can be a double. Next type is derived data type. So it is user defined data type, and it is the user have to derive it. First is array, pointer, structure, and union comes under the derived data type. Enums come under the enumerated data type, and void comes under void data type. Now you have to consider the architecture or bit of the computer system whenever you are declaring this data type, because the memory size of the basic data type may changes according to 32 or 64 bit operating. So if you are using 32 32-bit operating size may vary, and if you are using 64-bit operating system, again the size may vary. Now let's see the size and the range of value which it can hold, the data type can hold. Now this table suggests that I have mentioned all the data types over. These are the basic data types. This is the size of those data types in byte and the range of value which it can hold. Now this example is taken for the 32-bit architecture, 32-bit operating system. Our first data type is char, simple char or signed char. Size of the char is 1 byte, but the range starts from the negative 128 to positive 127. That is the range which it can hold. Then unsigned char. When the unsigned keyword is used in front of the data type, size doesn't change, but the range of the data type changes. It only considers the positive values. Start from 0 and ends at 255. So starting as 0 and it goes up till 155. Third is int, simple int you can say, or signed int. Size of the int is 2 byte and the range start from negative 32,768, 32,767. So it is having 65,535 of the range totally calculated. Then unsigned int, again the size is same as an int, it is 2 byte. So the range starts from the positive 0 and it goes up till 5535. Then short int or unsigned short int. Size of the short int or int is the same, that is 2 byte, but the range difference is a lot. So it can hold from 0 to 155. Now signed short integer or simple short int, the size is same, that is 2 byte, but it starts from the negative 128, goes up till 127 positive. Long int or signed long int, the size of it is 4 byte and it can hold pretty much larger amount of value. You can see over here that value range of the value it can hold is large. Now we'll see unsigned long int. Unsigned long int doesn't change the size of the int or the long int, but it holds the positive value only. It starts with 0 and you can see the range quite high. You can use as much as numbers the programming language. Now float are used to store the real number or real values, real numbers, that's fractional values. The size is 4 bytes and it goes on 3.4 exponential negative 30, 38 to 3.4 exponential positive 38. So quite pretty long range tailed with. There is double, size of double is 8 byte and again it is the range is pretty much high so that you can use the higher fractional values. So the long double is of size 10 bytes. It is the largest size of data type, that is long double, and it is having range from 3.4 exponential negative 4932 1.1 plus 4932. That is pretty much a range dealt with. So this is the range. That means this is within this range can mention any value that can be stored in this type of data. So let's move towards the conclusion. In this video lecture, we have seen the characteristics which can be used in language or which have been specified in this language. Then we have seen a different types of tokens. In tokens, we have seen words and identifiers. There are 32 reserved keywords having specific purpose in this language, and there are identifiers which are used to identify, name, variable, function, structure, union, whatsoever. Then there is we have seen variables, how to declare the variables, right? What is variable and what are the rules associated with variable. And later we have seen the data types, basic categorization of the data type or feature, the basic data types. Then there were derived data types. We'll see in the coming video lectures. Enumerated type in the video. And the last but not the least, we have seen the void data type. So all these data types which are left out in this video lecture, we will cover those types in coming lectures or upcoming chapters. You might encounter those data types. That was it for this video lecture. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.